Welcome to another episode of Africa Farming. My name as always is Samuel Baraza. Happy New Year, Happy New 2024, although belated, but this is our first video of 2024. For those people who've been following us on our handles and all that, you know we've been having issues, especially those who are following us on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. We've been posting some of the issues we've been facing. And one thing I'll tell you for sure is that farming is a challenge, a very big challenge. You actually set your goals to look left, the actual expectations, or rather what happens on the ground, goes south. So that is actually what happened in 2023. And if you noticed, at some point it took us a while before we shot, it has taken us a while before we shot another video. And the reason is just simple. There are things that happen at the farm that kind of discourage you. They kind of get out the energy that you actually had when you wanted to do those things. And some of those things we'll be discussing in this video. And if you've not connected with us on our social media handles, of course, we are Africa Farming on Facebook and YouTube, which you are currently watching us from. And on these other platforms, that is X, TikTok and Instagram, you can always find us as Africa Farming KE. So wherever it is that you are, sit back, relax, and let's get this rolling. Let me update you on what has been happening on this farm, both positive and the negatives that have actually taken the energy out of us. So the first thing that I'll update you, as you can see where I'm at, we are actually at the chicken house that we used to have chicken here. And there are a number of things that happened here. As you can see, the chicken house is completely empty. Right now we are using a section to put, it's been raining, so we've been cutting grass, drying them, and then storing on this particular section. So I'll tell you what happened. So the first thing that happened, for those people who've been following us on our social media handles, you know what happened. The first thing that happened was my farm guy kind of mixed the drugs that were supposed to be given, or the medicine, the vaccines that were supposed to be given. As all of you know, we have chicken at the farm. We also have sheep at the farm. So what he did was he gave actually sheep medicine to the chicken, thinking it was their vaccine. And I was not at the farm to be able to tell you. So this is one thing that we learned. Make sure you label, especially for those people who are farm guys that probably cannot read or may not be able to read clearly. It's good to label and, just put shelves where you've categorized. If it's chicken, if it is rabbits, if it is sheep, if it is goats, put the medicine in categorized sections of whatever it is, your storage and all that. So that is one of the mistakes we did. We gave the wrong vaccine, or rather the wrong medicine, to the chicken, and 75% of them actually died. If you've been following us on social media, you actually saw those pictures. That was the first thing. Then we remained with around 25%. Now, what happened again was that we had what we call a mongoose attack. So locals call it orpilis, but based on my research, I've come to know that it's the mongoose. Those people who know mongoose, this animal that kind of lives in the wild. So they attack chicken. So if you've poorly constructed your chicken house, which now I came to realize that I thought just by putting a slab as the floor and now constructing this, I had actually secured my chickens. But in real sense, what happened was that these orpilis, or these mongoose, as you can see on the screen, they actually dug out a whole section of the slab and went into the chicken house and ate some chickens there that were laying eggs. So out of the 25% that were remaining, we were left with, I think, one cock and one hen. But everything that has a negative also has a positive. This one hen currently, as we speak, already laid eggs and hatched. So we'll be able to see that in the new temporary chicken house that we've constructed close to where my farm guy stays. So that was actually one of the things that happened. So right now as we speak, we have a new smaller temporary structure to house the two chickens that remain, plus the chicks that have actually been hatched. Right now we are not even we are not even thinking about interbreeding. For us, it's just about survival. We are now waiting for these now to hatch and become, you know, large in number. Remember last year, time like this is when we started around 5 chickens here, and they actually grew in number. By the time everything that was happening here happened, we had around 70 or more chickens. So we hope we'll have the same as we keep improving the breed as we go on. So we have a new structure there. The difference between that and this is that one is somehow raised, so it kind of avoids attacks from mongoose. Mongoose love such houses that have, you know, a foundation where you're practicing deep litter. So one of the things I'll tell people, if you're practicing chicken farming and you're in an area that is wild, and I hear these things also are in urban centers, not only in rural areas like these. So just make sure your chicken house is raised a bit so that it can avoid, you know, you can actually prevent these things from attacking. And if you have such a structure that, you know, is not raised, you're supposed to have a very good foundation that is impenetrable. Make sure you put like those strong wires down here so that even if they dig, they're not able to penetrate. Yeah. So your foundation has to be strong, it has to be deep enough, and you must have all those. I've had some people also put even iron sheets down there. On top of the iron sheets, they also put the hard metals. I don't know the name of those, the wires, the hard wires that are used in construction. Before now they put the cement. So it's difficult for the mongoose now to penetrate in such a case. But if you don't have the budget for such a foundation, just make sure you raise your chicken house a little bit higher to avoid these mongoose from attacking your chicken. Another update is that, as you can see here, we're having a lot of grass, a lot of pasture for our livestock. We had crazy rains that, you know, rain from November to around beginning of this year, maybe mid-January. Yeah, we had rains throughout. Some rivers here, we could not even access this farm because the rivers were flooding. And in this area, in this Maasai land, we don't have bridges because people here are nomadic. So you have to allow, you know, people to pass, livestock to pass and all that. So they rarely construct those high bridges. So in such a period where we have a lot of rain, those rivers, you know, they flood, or rather they just become crazy, you can't pass. So accessibility was limited to the farm. And as you can see here, there's a lot of grass, even we don't know what to do with that. So we're trying to see how we can slash the grass and, you know, dry it and keep it for future use. Some of it has been kept. You'll actually see in this house, this former chicken house currently is the storage for this grass that we are cutting that we'll use later on for our sheep and goats. Yeah, so with regards to the rains, that is actually what happened, and I think it also is one of the reasons why the next thing that we're talking about happened. Around November, December there, we had the corners of our fence falling down, and I think the result, this was as a result of two things. Number one, the rain, which made the ground softer, and number two, termites. We have termites around the farm. We've tried to put medicine, you know, drugs that kind of inhibit their growth, but you can't put, you know, you can't avoid termites everywhere. So most of our corner poles were actually affected by termites, and they caved in. So we had to restore our fence on those corners, the 4 corners, but I think one of the corners was actually okay. So we just restored 3 of them, and right now our fence is good. Initially, when they fell down, animals used to come and eat our trees, so we had to do a restoration of the fence. So the other update right now is that, remember we had sheep, another calamity that actually just took our energy out of these. For those people again who've been following us on social media, you remember I posted these. We had a leopard attack on our farm. As you can see, our previous pen, it's actually right now just an empty shell. We've used part of that material to construct, you know, some of the new houses on the other end. But one thing that happened is that we had an attack by the leopards. They actually ate almost half of our stock. And from there, of course, we had to construct a safer and more secure enclosed sheep pen, as you can see on your screen, that enabled us now at least to secure the sheep and goats. One thing that I've noticed about this area, that was not the last attack. The hyenas and the leopards have been coming, but right now, because they're enclosed, they're not able to access our sheep and goats. But the area around, most people practice the open sheep pen construction. That is where they keep their sheep. And I've heard that the leopards and the hyenas have been attacking around here. So we kind of have a safer place that has been enclosed, just a safer mabati or iron sheet structure, as you can see on your screen. So those people who will look at this or watch this, don't say there is no enough ventilation. There's a reason for that. We don't want any leopard or any hyena to have any access to our sheep and goats. But the positive about this is, in as much as half of our stock was lost, the remaining half, we actually got a ram from a friend of mine, a very nice breed. Now this ram was able to mount on the remaining ewes that we've had, and over the past 4 months we've had lambs being born. So currently we have around 5 lambs. Out of the 5 lambs we have 2 male and 3 female, as you can see on your screen. Now these lambs, the oldest I think right now should be around 3 or 4 months, and they are big based on the breed of the father. And that is what I told you last time. When you're buying your sheep, especially the ewes, it's not really, you don't really need to consider the breed. But when you're getting the male that is supposed to mount the female, make sure you get the right breed, because the male is what determines the genetics mostly. So if you want to improve your genetics, you must get the best male breed. So if you want to start from scratch, you can get whatever female ewes that you have, the way we did. We didn't get, those nice breeds of ewes. But when it came to the male ram, we got the best around here. Not that it's the first blood, but it's one of the best breeds that you can find locally. And it's close to our first blood doper. So that is what has actually mounted these female ewes that remained. And right now we have very good breeds of lambs that were born, 3 female, 2 males. So that is good news for us, right? And as you can see on your screen, they are grazing so well. We've given them the vaccines that are supposed to be given, and they're feeding on well, and they're doing perfectly well. Now, one thing about sheep and goats is that whenever the climatic conditions change from dry, this is a dry area, semi-arid area. So whenever rains come, remember the parasites become more and more. So you have to make sure that, remember the first, when we bought the first batch of ewes, 2 or 3 of them died because of this. We didn't know, but we learned from there. So right now, whenever there is rain, before we even have the second day of rain, we always get dewormers to be able to deworm our sheep, so that it can control the internal parasites that they are consuming from grass. Another thing is that you don't let out your sheep very early in the morning. Wait until at least the sun is up to be able to, get the dew out of the grass, so that your sheep and goats can go and graze. Now, there's also the issue of multivitamins to just boost the immunity of your sheep. Sometimes you might find your sheep coughing here and there because still of the parasites, both external and internal. So what you need to do is sometimes, apart from just the deworming, you need to inject them with some multivitamins, like it's called Ivactin or something. There is a medicine like that. So you just need to give them some multivitamins to boost their immunity, because these sheep are very susceptible to parasites. And the more they graze, especially when the rains fall, where parasites are so much on their pasture, the more they get, those parasites, and chances of losing them goes high. So make sure you deworm and give them multivitamins whenever we have those climatic changes. Yeah. So our goat was pregnant. We expected it to, deliver or give birth around this time, but one thing that happened is that it miscarried. Most people call it abortion. If you research about abortion, there are so many reasons as to why this happens, but it's not that it's an abnormal thing. It's a normal thing. Up to 60% of goats miscarry, by the way, at some point in their life. So this is what happened. We expected to have our first kid on the farm, but that never materialized, because the only goat that we had miscarried. So we just had to give it those antibiotics to be able to, you know, flush out everything that it had. We're waiting to bring her back here at the farm to be able to mount it once it gets on heat. So that is also a sad story. Some of these things kind of, you know, get the energy out of you, but as farming we have to keep going on, you know. So all this happened last year, and of course, because we've had a spell of bad things happening, we had to organize. Locally here, they believe that all these things were happening because we had not slaughtered, you know, blood had not gotten to the ground because this is a new farm. So we had to, you know, invite friends over around Jamhuri Day. That was around 12th of December last year. We invited friends and family to come to the farm. We had to slaughter some goats, as you can see on your screen, and we had a perfect Jamhuri Day. In Kenya, that is Jamhuri Day on the 12th of December. So we hope that this year will be perfect for us, because right now we have slaughtered. We have actually poured blood on the ground. So we hope for the best. That is a superstition, but why not? Let's just do it. If it will it will make us not go through some of these things, why not? So basically that is it. That is what has happened since the last video that we shot and uploaded. Hopefully this year we are going to be very consistent. We have a plan. I always tell you that, but this time just trust me. I have a plan. We'll be very consistent with our videos. Kindly link with us on our social media handles: Africa Farming KE on TikTok, Instagram and X, Africa Farming on Facebook, and of course Africa Farming on YouTube. And I'm glad that you joined us in this episode, and until next time, changamka na ukulima. Bye bye.